How's everybody feeling this morning? A little better. A little bit better. Yesterday was obviously a very rough day in Browns Nation. We're a day removed. I want to start taking a look to the Tennessee Titans and moving forward, but we know, frankly, how hard that's going to be. There's still questions out there with Nick Chubb, the surgery, when it's happening, what's going on. We have a few updates this morning. We've got some positive updates that Chubb is in good spirits. He's been around the facility, but still, a day later, I wake up this morning, I feel a little better. Not much, a little. It's more of like shock and despair yesterday to almost like anger today about what happened with the Browns on Monday Night Football. But nonetheless, we do have to move forward. We got to get ready for the Tennessee Titans. We'll do that. There's big news around the AFC North. And part of moving forward, the Browns will somehow have to replace Nick Chubb for this season. How they do that, we'll discuss it right here on the Matt Fontana Show. Welcome on in, everybody. I am Matt Fontana. He is Ryan Tyler right here on Big Play, streaming live, iHeart app. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, on-demand shows with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And as always, check us out at bigplay.com for everything we got going on there. Jam-packed show today. We'll get into, I want to say fact or fiction, but there's something about the Browns that they've done over the first couple of games. Is that true? Are we seeing something that is real? We'll talk about the replacement for Nick Chubb. Big news around the AFC North and a chance that the Browns are still in this thing. We'll get to all of it here this morning. So we wake up with the big news that the Browns are interested in Kareem Hunt. I don't know, Ryan, somebody on this show yesterday said maybe they didn't think Kareem Hunt was the best pick for the Cleveland Browns. Was that you or?
That might have been me.
Was that you or? It was me. It was me. I honestly, I didn't see that. Like, I didn't think Kareem Hunt was going to be the fit for the Cleveland Browns, and I saw the tweets, and it makes you laugh because, why is he visiting? He visited the Browns yesterday. Like, he doesn't know what the locker room looks like. No, here's really what he's visiting about. He wants to sit down with Andrew Berry, maybe his agent, and say, how much money are we talking here? And I sent this tweet out. Kareem Hunt played this out about the best way that he could. Because not signing with a team, he had visits with New Orleans and with Indianapolis, and he didn't sign. And there was a lot of, I don't want to say shadiness going on, but there was some, remember he was in New Orleans and somebody like called him and said, get off the field, don't hurt yourself, and get to Indianapolis. They're going to offer you more money. And then he didn't, and it was just kind of weird. Like, and also for the Saints, are they hoarding running backs down there? I mean, I know Alvin Kamara is suspended, but like he's going to come back eventually. I digress. So Kareem Hunt played this out about as perfectly as he could. And what was he waiting for? Some top-level running backs to get hurt. He was waiting for starting-level running backs on teams that give a damn to get hurt, right? James Conner gets hurt in Arizona. They don't care, right? They're tanking. They suck. But Saquon Barkley gets hurt for the Giants like he did. He's out for 3 weeks. Okay, they care. They're trying to push for the playoffs. Lo and behold, unfortunately, the place where Kareem Hunt was at, Cleveland Browns, they lose their starting running back. They're willing to invest. They need a running back. Here's Kareem Hunt still sitting on the street looking for a job. And he played this. It rolled perfect for Kareem Hunt. I'm not saying he was wishing injury. Nobody wishes injury. But that's the name of the game. What was his game? To wait for a job, a meaningful paying job, on a good football team to appear. Now, he might have multiple offers. And I don't think the Giants would necessarily go out because Barkley's only out a couple of games, but still, the Browns from that standpoint make a lot of sense. Then we come back to how he exited Cleveland. Because that wasn't a messy breakup. And we've seen that with players when they leave somewhere before and they just detonate things on the way out the door. See Antonio Brown. For the more or less. That was an unwarranted shot. I'm sorry. It sounds like Antonio Brown's got some things he's dealing with. I apologize for that. But anyway, that's detonating your relationship. And then he sent that tweet last week of like, oh, hey, the Steelers need a wide receiver. I don't think they're calling you, man. I really don't think they're calling you. Who is calling him is that Arena League because they need their money. Again, another unwarranted shot. I'm sorry. I'm really not. So he left here okay, right? It wasn't, but there were reports that the Browns thought he lost the step. The reports are the Browns didn't think that he was the running back that he used to be, which is crazy because he's 27. You know, he's not in his 30s. Not Frank Gore out there. He's 27. Running back years are like dog years, reverse dog years. Or not actually, real dog years. Like every year that you play, it's pretty much like 7. So I get it. But that was interesting to me, that they felt like he lost a step, so they move on. And I understand that the Nick Chubb injury, you got to swallow your pride. If Kareem Hunt is truly the best option for the Browns moving forward, you swallow that pride, you give him some good cash. Because let's not forget, too, in all this situation, the Browns have extra cash to spend. Now, they want to roll it over for the Deshaun Watson contract. Yes, I read Jack's article yesterday about how the Browns could get out of Deshaun Watson's contract. I read that article. That's a real article. You know what? I might reach out to Jack. I might have him on. Jack Duffin. He does work for OBR. He's great on the cap stuff. He wrote articles about how the Browns could get out of Deshaun Watson's contract. It ain't going to be cheap, and it ain't going to be next year, but another conversation for another day. So the Browns have extra money that if they really wanted to offer a solid, not in $10 million, but if you came to Kareem Hunt with an $8 million deal, I think he's probably taking it. He's probably going to get that.
If he was a smart man, he would.
Yeah, and I think that's
a decent chunk of change for
that is
right now where he's at.
And it's the best case scenario in a way of what Kareem Hunt was trying to do, right? Like, let's just look at this. We're looking at it from so much from the Browns angle, and trust me, I've got more Browns angles to get to. And we'll post our Twitter question about it this morning coming up in a little bit as well. Follow us at Matt Fontana Show. But from the Kareem Hunt angle, you did, at this point, everything's worked out. Okay, in a way. There's injuries, there's want, right? He's not getting a multi-year deal. And that's apparent because he didn't get one in this offseason. So what he needs is a one-year deal that's semi-lucrative, and he goes out and he balls out, right? He's the Kareem Hunt of old. You reestablish your value. Some teams comes calling, hey, man, here's a 3-year, I don't know, $30 million deal. Because in the running back room, that's that's sad, and like that's what guys are shooting for now. But you want the multiple years and always follow the guaranteed money. That's the only thing the players and the agents talk about. So this scenario with the Browns works out really well, I think, for Kareem Hunt. I'm assuming they've got some cap to spend. He's going to probably get a lot of the carries, and he could reestablish his value. Now let's flip it back to the Cleveland Browns. You have an in-house option, do you not? With Jerome Ford. And I was intrigued enough to see what Jerome Ford did in the first game. It was one game, I get it, but they drafted him for a reason. He provides a little bit of a different change of pace than Nick Chubb. And you could do a lot worse than Jerome Ford as your starting running back in the NFL, especially behind the offensive line that you've had. And the Browns are certainly sitting down to factor that in, right? When they say, in this grand scheme of all of it, do you really need a top flight running back? And I'm not saying that like, oh yeah, Nick Chubb's injury isn't that big of a deal. That's not at all what I'm saying. This was massive. And actually, coming up in about 10 minutes, I'll maybe make the case about this is as big as a team losing a quarterback. But step aside, we'll get to that in 10 minutes. But in the team that you have built, $230 million quarterback, money out the wazoo for your guards and tackles. It sucks that Jack Conklin's not there, but Dwan Jones played just fine. And the grades coming out from the game tell you he played just fine. You've built this team that you almost feel like you should be able to plug a running back in there. And granted, again, I want Nick Chubb out there. I wish Nick Chubb was out there. But on that scale of if he can't be and he's not, do you really need to go out and invest in somebody to try to take up that mantle? Or can you just turn and give the ball to Jerome Ford? Is this something that you could be able to do? Those are questions that they're having right now. And the question that we're going to post, and I'm actually throwing you a curveball, Ryan, because we left a name off that list that we're going to put on right now. At Matt Fontana Show, who do you want the Browns starting running back to be moving forward? And I've already gotten the tweets. Oh, have them split carries. We saw that here with Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. I'll be the first one to tell you that doesn't work. You need to have a starting running back. Sure, you need a guy to spell him, get some carries here, fine. You need a starting running back. Who do you want the Browns starting running back to be moving forward? Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, Leonard Fournette. Ryan, do we put Jonathan Taylor on that list?
We can.
You got to trade for him.
Yeah.
And maybe you need to put that in the poll question, please, to understand that we just can't go out and just pick up Jonathan Taylor off the street. But put him on the list. I'll be interested to see what people say. Because I mentioned this on the show yesterday. There's a huge, giant reason why the Browns can't get Jonathan Taylor. and his name is Deshaun Watson. I'll tell you why coming up on the show as well. We got a lot to get to coming up. There's a few things out about about Kareem Hunt. He's visiting the Browns. Would you want him as the starting running back for the Browns moving forward? And if not him, who else? Jerome Ford, Cam Akers will throw him in there too, Leonard Fournette, Jonathan Taylor. How do you want the Browns to approach this running back position moving forward? We'll cast our votes on that. I have a take on why you can't go get Jonathan Taylor, which is unfortunate. And we've got a couple updates. The news on Nick Chubb is spotty. And something like this where we all want an update, there really isn't one. There's a small one from Josine Anderson we saw. There's another one out from CBS Sports this morning about the surgeries that he's going to need. I think it's pretty telling and a little grim that they have not yet announced what the injuries are. I think it's because they might not even know. We'll get to all that coming up. We're jam-packed this morning right here. Fontana Show, Big Play, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. On-demand shows on Apple Podcasts and Spotify as well. Happy to have along this morning. Got a lot to get to, and we'll get to it next right here on Big Play. All right, back here on the Matt Fontana Show. Our Twitter question is up at Matt Fontana Show. Who would you want as the Browns starting running back? Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt. We put Jonathan Taylor in there. Or other. That's Cam Akers. That's Leonard Fournette. You're a big Leonard Fournette guy there, Ryan.
Lenny, come on.
Is it weird that, and I do this in sports with baseball, with basketball, and sometimes with football, that there are just guys that you always have a gut feeling that they're going to find your way to your team somehow. And it's revisionist history, and it's easy for me to say that after it actually happens. But seriously, I always had a gut feeling that Jadeveon Clowney would somehow come play for the Browns. I don't know how, I don't know why, but it was just one of those things that I always kind of had that feel. I did not have that for Lucas Giolito with the Guardians. I did not have that one. But I don't know, Clowney, I just always had a feeling he was going to come to the Browns. Leonard Fournette has the feeling of a guy that's he's always been destined to make his way to the Cleveland Browns. So I can understand it for touchdown Lenny there. Leonard Fournette. Not quite my vote. We'll get to that coming up. Updates on Nick Chubb. And I'm sorry to say, we might have to take Jonathan Taylor off that list. But who do you want as a starting running back for the Cleveland Browns? I wish I could place a bet on that, Ryan, with our great friends at Tipico. Get signed up right now. Big Play Network, presented by Tipico Sportsbook. Sportsbook app for Tipico has got everything you need. The traditional bets, the money line, the spread. Took the Guardians last night, but that's okay. It's also lock and player props. I've been dabbling a little bit more on these like 3-leg player props, you know. And the thing I love about Tipico, because I just did that this weekend, there's over-unders, certainly, but then you could do alternate ones, you know, and you could just say, this weekend coming up, I just want 3 receptions for Donovan Peoples-Jones. You feel like that's good? Throw that into a little like 3-leg parlay there on Tipico. I love using it. I was actually just talking to Nick about this. Their interface is great. It is so easy to navigate. They've got the sports that you want. Get signed up today. Bet on all your favorite Cleveland teams, all your favorite athletes from Ohio. And use promo code BIGPLAY150 when you sign up. You get $150 bet credits on us and a $30 dog pound bet, futures bet too on there. Bet with Big Play Crew all season long with Tipico. Again, download the app, go to the website, Tipico Sportsbook, BigPlay150 is your code. Cast your vote. Who would you want as the Browns starting running back moving forward? Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Taylor, or other? We've already got votes for Cam Akers in the Twitter inbox as well. Ryan, I will let you get first crack this morning. Cast your vote.
Yeah, so I want to preface it with saying I'm totally fine if the Browns do go down the road of just riding it with Jerome Ford.
Okay.
That being said, looking at the options available, I get it. Kareem Hunt, right? Obviously, the whole thing he has going for him is he's familiar with the system.
I'm going to get to that point. I'm glad you brought that up. I was just actually having a conversation with somebody about this, but do not let me forget about that.
I'm planting my flag, I'll put it that way, on Lombardi Lenny.
All right. And the reason I'm actually looking this up right now, to SpoTrack, a market value for one Leonard Fournette, 2 years, $4.6 million. $2.3 million a year.
Easy money.
That's it. Pretty good. Now, let me get Kareem Hunt here for you. So that was Leonard Fournette. Kareem Hunt, according to SpoTrack, has a market value of 2 years, $14 million. 7. You should have put the camera on you, Ryan, when you did that. Redo that. Put the camera on you and do the same thing. Nick, no, not even for Kareem Hunt. He knows the offense, though, man.
We got the money, but no. No. I'm just not interested.
I'd give him a 1 year, $7 million deal. Sure. Not 2. I'd give him 1 for 7. And then, Barry, he can, finagle that, put the void years and all that kind of stuff in. And this is not a shot at you or the gentleman I was having a conversation with this morning here in our studios. Burke Lakefront Airport. Beautiful spot. I can't tell you how overblown I think it is that he knows the offense. I'm not trying to take a shot. I'm just saying, this is the NFL. They have iPads. They're smart people. They're going to get whoever the running back is up to speed. And it's not the quarterback. I understand there's a lot that goes into an NFL playbook. And there's a lot that you got to get figured out. I'm not saying it's 0 on the level of importance, on a scale of 1 to 10 of Kareem Hunt knows Kevin Stefanski's offense. I scare small children. That's Matt Follier. Got dry deodorant cakes.
I'm clipping that, by the way.
Thank you very much. If you get the reference, you know. On a scale of 1 to 10 on Kareem Hunt knows the offense, it's not a 0, but, dude, it's not a 10. Okay, and for people out there, if that is the first thing that you want to say about signing Kareem Hunt, then you can't sign Kareem Hunt. If you want to say he's still got some gas in the tank and he could help the offense, okay, that's where we need to start that conversation. If he just knows the offense, go trade for Dearness Johnson. Brought that up yesterday. If you want to just go get somebody that was in the offense, I'll give you a list of guys that are probably cheaper on the reasons that you would sign him. That's not, I can't get there. That's not high on the list for me. I'm sorry. And the thing is, Kareem Hunt is a known commodity to a point, right? Did he end it all that well here? No. Was it ever actually really set up for success? I don't know. because it's hard to go back and try to put ourselves back in that situation of like, okay, it's so different, right? With when John Dorsey traded for Kareem Hunt, we were over the moon because you go, wait a minute, you traded for a guy, again, I know the off the field situation, but you traded for a guy that formerly led the league in rushing. That's an impressive thing to do. Then you combo him with a guy like Nick Chubb. But let's not forget, when they traded for Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb wasn't quite Nick Chubb yet. And he was already a great player, and he still is a great player to this day. But he really got a lot better. And there's an argument to be had about, could you wonder what Nick Chubb would be if he was here by himself? Because there was that time they tried to split carries. And there was actually a year that Kareem Hunt had more rushing yards than Nick Chubb. Now, Nick Chubb was injured that year. Was it 2021? 2020 maybe? I can't remember. And then Nick Chubb has now ascended and put himself into the elite conversation in the running back position. So you always kind of wonder that. But now it could be the same thing applied to Kareem Hunt. Could you wonder that maybe Kareem Hunt wasn't getting it? You know, like, I guess if you have the two, you don't have the one. And like now, if Kareem Hunt came back, I'd be like, here, you're the starter. Here's the football. No more of this splitting stuff. Like, here's the football. And I have tweets in the Twitter inbox, which I appreciate, at Matt Fontana 83, of somebody mentioned like split carries with him. Split carries with him. Let me find. Oh man, I sent the tweet out this morning. Frank tweets: Kareem is the starter. Ford is your change of pace back. Oh, Rhett, this is the one that I was looking for. Okay, Rhett, thank you very much, Rhett, on Twitter. Let them both go out, talking about Kareem Hunt and Jerome Ford. Let them both go out and ball for the team. I think Hunt and Ford can both contribute a lot to the Browns. We don't need to pick one over the other. Rhett, I appreciate the tweet, man. I do. That doesn't work. And I understand that the Browns tried to make that work with Hunt and Ford, or Hunt and Nick Chubb, because you were spoiled with riches. Not every team has two running backs like that. So what do you instantly want to do? Well, we'll make this work. The other example, which I'm not meaning to throw dirt on this grave or anything like that. Remember when Joe Woods was talking about that 3 safety look? And that was because Ronnie Harrison played really well, and you had John Johnson, who you had paid, and Grant Delpit was coming on. And everybody said, wow, wait a minute. We got 3 safeties. We better play them all. Doesn't work. It really doesn't. And the running back position, the running back by committee thing, I know they're trying it in Atlanta, and that's mostly because they're going to run the football 45 times down there because their quarterback isn't very good. It doesn't work. Pick one and go with it. That's no matter what, and no matter who it is, I'll trust Andrew Berry on this. I just need him to make a decision. I don't want any of the split carry stuff. And I understand there'll always be a third down back. You'll always need to get somebody in there just for breaks. Whoever you pick, whether it's Cam Akers or Leonard Fournette, or Kareem Hunt, or Jerome Ford, or maybe Jonathan Taylor. Certainly would be with Jonathan Taylor. He's your back. You give him the football. You give him the majority of the carries. On my vote of who I want the Browns starting back to be, give it to Jerome Ford. Give it to Jerome Ford. He's over the injury now. Doesn't mean that it won't crop back up. But they need to sign somebody. No offense to Pierre Strong. They have to get somebody else in here. Give Jerome Ford some carries. I'm intrigued enough. And I understand that a lot of what he did in that game was that 170-yard run, and he got stifled on a couple. I'm intrigued by Jerome Ford. His speed in the zone scheme that the Browns like to run. You know what's really good with that? A guy that has some speed that can get to the corner. And if it's blocked well, and Nick Chubb is very fast too. What Nick Chubb was so good at was the cutback in his vision. But for Jerome Ford, he brings just a little more speed than Chubb. There's something you can work with on that. Chubb was improving out of the backfield. I think that's an area that Jerome Ford can help. I'm intrigued enough to roll with Jerome Ford. And also, it doesn't stop you from signing somebody else in a couple of weeks. Let's say you give the ball to Jerome Ford for the next 2 weeks. You have the Titans and the Ravens, 2 pretty good defenses, or at least should be. The Ravens are flying around. Patrick Queen's having a career year for them at linebacker. The Titans, I'm assuming that they should be good because they have Mike Vrabel. Where are they in stats? Team defense. Stand by. Defense, yards allowed, rushing yards per game. The Eagles, the Bucks, and your Cleveland Browns. Top 3. Do you know who we're tied with, Ryan, for third with 65 rushing yards allowed per game? The Tennessee Titans. So, yeah, they're pretty good. So you're going to get a decent test. Okay, so here it is. The Browns and the Titans. Oh, this is weird. The Browns, the Titans, and the San Francisco 49ers are all tied for third in the NFL, giving up 65 yards per game. We've all equally given up 130 yards in 2 games. So that's all tied for third. Do you know who then is fourth, giving up 69 yards per game? Nice. The Baltimore Ravens.
Oh, look at that.
Look at that. So you're facing 2 top 5 rushing defenses over the next couple weeks. Give it to Jerome Ford. Give it to him. See what happens. And if it goes really bad, well, we're into the bye week. Go trade for somebody or go sign for somebody. Do something. So I'm going Jerome Ford. So Ryan's cast his vote for Leonard Fournette. I'm going with Jerome Ford. Another one on this list is Jonathan Taylor. I think Jonathan Taylor is completely off the table because of Deshaun Watson. And here's the reason why. There's a world you could go to the Colts and say, we'll trade for Jonathan Taylor. You then call Jonathan Taylor and say, I know you really want a long-term deal, but we're not doing that. Here's a deal that's above what you would be making this year. Do the Saquon Barkley thing. Here's a 1-year deal above what the franchise tag might be. Give him $12-14 million for the season, and then tell him you have a chance to come here, play behind this offensive line, play in this system, and boost your numbers up, and then go get some big fat deal from somebody. Okay? And you could actually do both because you could let Ford play a little bit. Jonathan Taylor's on PUP, so he's out the first 2 more games or whatever. The money is not what concerns me with Jonathan Taylor. It's the draft picks. And the reason I'm concerned about the draft picks is Deshaun Watson. If Deshaun Watson was playing to the level that we all thought and assumed he would at $230 million, draft picks then become expendable assets. You look at it always through the lens of, we have a starting quarterback. We have a franchise starting quarterback. Yeah, first-round picks are great for D linemen and for wide receivers, and every general manager would tell you that it doesn't matter, right? Like, they always want their picks. They're always going to want their picks. But it's easier to part with them when you know you have the quarterback because that's what everybody's looking for. That's what everybody needs. So if you have one, it becomes a little easier to stomach letting go of one. At this point where I am questioning who Deshaun Watson is for the Browns, and I'm reading articles about getting out of his $230 million contract, I can't afford to give up first-round picks that I might need in 2 years to go draft another quarterback. And I hate that I'm saying that. And I hate that this is the world that we're in. And if you want to read that I'm overreacting to 2 games, it's really 8 games. And if I'm overreacting to a bad weather game, just one bad game against Pittsburgh, that's fine. But at this point, it is safer to operate that he isn't the guy. So therefore, I need to be loaded with ammo, which I already gave up a ton of picks to get Deshaun Watson and paid him a lot of money. The money is easier to get out of than the picks. I can't go buy picks. I can't do the Brock Osweiler deal again, which got us Nick Chubb, thank God. The money can be moved. The Haslam's are going to have to pay for it, all that. I can't buy draft picks. I can't do it. So that's giving that up for Watson has put me in this box where I can't even entertain going to get Jonathan Taylor. And I wish I could. It's a fantasy football Madden-type trade, sure. But could you imagine him in this offense? Could you imagine him on this team? And what's stopping it is Watson. If I knew Deshaun Watson was going to be the quarterback for the Cleveland Browns for the next 8 years and elite, then I'm getting rid of that draft pick. I don't even need to think about it. I would call and also in my head go, yeah, that pick's going to be in the 20s anyway. What does it matter? And Andrew Berry will never say that because picks matter. And yeah, you still need to put talent around them and wide receivers and all that kind of stuff. Then it comes back to the question of going all in on this season, which I do think is one of the discussion points that we haven't talked enough about. Should we do that here? I was going to break, but let's keep rolling with this. Let's keep the people engaged. What the Browns do with this move will tell you how they are feeling about this season. And we're saying that's crazy. We're 2 games in. Sure. But do they see this opportunity to still make the playoffs and go win the AFC North? Joe Burrow's not playing Monday night, folks. I'm telling you, this is me. There's no reports out. He ain't playing Monday night. So there's a chance they're playing the Rams. that the Bengals fought 0-3. Okay. Did anything that the Steelers did the other night really have you sit there and go, wow, what a team? TJ Watt's very good. Nothing really about the Steelers that I go, okay. The Ravens are good. The Ravens are good. And we'll see them firsthand in a couple of weeks. But if the Browns sit here and think about where they're at, if they believe that this year is the all-in year, then they're going to get Jonathan Taylor. Or they're going to get some running back that's not just Jerome Ford. Because they feel like it's that important. When you've built this team up the way that you have, when you feel like the run game is that important, you would need to replace Nick Chubb with the most comparable guy. And that would be Jonathan Taylor. But they can't do that, right? They just can't. And then it comes back to, was losing Nick Chubb comparable to losing a quarterback? And that sounds insane. In the world of running backs not getting paid and teams not wanting them and we're throwing the football the livelong day, it's crazy to think that. But I would love nothing more than for Kevin Stefanski to sit right here, give him the little truth serum, which I call whiskey, and ask him, how devastating was this injury for Nick Chubb to your offense? And love to hear his answer. And his answer might be, this was everything. Again, truth serum is that we are screwed. We put everything through him. We ran everything through him. And then you'd sit there and go, okay, well, go get me a guy that is going to be your bell cow back and you need to be able to do something with it. He might then sit there also under the truth serum and say, it hurt, but this is a passing league and we got Deshaun Watson. We got to throw the damn football. And then that would make me feel like, okay, all right, go give me Jerome Ford. Maybe give me a little touchdown, Lenny. Go ahead and maybe sign Kareem Hunt. And then we're going to turn this thing over to Watson. I don't know the answer to that question. And I'd love the answer to that question. I really would. Because as a fan, it's easy for us to sit here and say, like, dude, Chubb was everything. And that's why I don't think it's an outlandish thing to say this is almost to the I'll counter myself for a second. I got a lot of people up in here, man. It's scary. I'm going to counter myself for a second here, Ryan. It would almost be like Minnesota losing Justin Jefferson, right? That's that. Kirk Cousins aside, that stops their entire offense. You see what the Colts are like without Jonathan Taylor, and that offense is not an offense that you want to look like. There are a couple different ones. Like, it's not Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers because they have multiple, skill set guys there. I think the Giants, you're going to see what that offense looks like without Saquon Barkley. And that's a little scary. So maybe I need to pump the brakes on this is as bad as a team losing a quarterback. Because it's a big piece of what they do. But I guess the ultimate question to me, Ryan, is how big of a piece was it losing Nick Chubb? And I don't know the answer to that question. Kevin Stefanski does, and they're probably scheming it up to try to find a way to fill that answer. And that's our question this morning. A lot of Twitter inbox. Let's get to the Twitter inbox here. At Matt Fontana Show. And at Matt Fontana 83. We'll get you some updates on Chubb as well. So our first question is up. How do you want the Browns to fill the void of Nick Chubb? Who do you want their starting running back to be? Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Taylor on the trade, or other? Not shocking, 38% of our vote, Ryan, says trade for Jonathan Taylor. 29% Jerome Ford, 24% Kareem Hunt, 9% other, including Mike, who says, give me Cam Akers. Can be had for cheap. Elfie Empire also says, is that Jamar Chase's burner account? He was right, by the way, Jamar Chase. Should have sat Joe Burrow. We'll get to that coming up a little bit later. Elfie Empire says Akers, lower investment and arguably is just talented as Taylor. What?
Yeah,
I like Cam Akers. Don't get me wrong. He ain't Jonathan Taylor. He's not.
Seeing him, I think, run for what, like 30 yards on like 20 carries in week one?
No. What could Cam Akers get had for here? What do you think? Okay, so Sean McVay has straight up said that they are heading towards trading him. He was a healthy scratch last weekend, as we know. Akers was a second-round pick, and he's in the final year of his rookie deal. So, yeah, he's making pennies.
I would like those pennies.
Well, I take him. I take him. I take Cam Akers. I would. What'd you give him? A 3? Would you do a 3 for Cam Akers?
3-year deal? Are you saying?
No. A third round pick. I'm sorry. Third round pick. I'm pulling up the Browns' future draft picks to make sure I know what we have to allocate here. So this year, we don't even have our 4 this year, or 3. So this year we have our 2 and our 3. Our 1 and 4 are with the Texans in the Deshaun Watson deal. Our 5 is with the Vikings. But we have a pick from the Cardinals. So here's the thing. We have 2 5s. Any way you slice a cake, we have 2 5s. We got one from the Cardinals in the Josh Dobbs trade. And we have 2 more that one of them is going to the Vikings. So we have 2 5s. So for next season, the Browns have a 2, a 3, 2 5s, a 6, and 1 7. That's it. So would you give a third round pick? Knowing that you don't have a first, you do have a 2. Would you give a third round pick for Cam Akers?
So getting time to think about it a little more, yeah, I would.
Okay.
I think it's worth.
No. Let me just counterpoint real quick. Knowing that Cam Akers is Cam Akers, would you say Kareem Hunt and Cam Akers are comparable? Would you say Kareem Hunt's better than Cam Akers, or Cam Akers is better than Kareem Hunt?
I mean, obviously we've seen Kareem Hunt be elite, so it's hard to say. But I don't know. I haven't seen Kareem Hunt play football this year.
Cam Akers is younger too. Because here's your balance. Here's the reason I bring it up. Would you rather give up draft picks or money? If you live in a world that Cam Akers and Kareem Hunt are the same guy, which maybe not, I would dare say I lean towards Cam Akers, but that's fine. You need to give up draft picks for Cam Akers and save money, or all you have to do is sign Kareem Hunt, but he's going to want more money. The Browns at this point have a surplus of cash. They do not have a surplus of draft picks. So that's where it might become more attainable to get Kareem Hunt. Now, you get Cam Akers for a 5, and you, in essence, traded Josh Dobbs for Cam Akers because you got a 5 for the Cardinals. I'll pick him up out of Burke. We're at Burke. I'll walk out onto the runway and pick him up. Cam Akers, that flight coming in from LA. I'll do that today for a 5. I would imagine the Rams are asking for more than that. A 3, I will say this here today. They ask for anything above a 3, and I'm hanging the phone up. Like, that's just that done.
Yeah, I wonder where the Rams are with that, because like you said, he's on his final year of his rookie deal. So are they at the point where they want, like, there's a realistic possibility where they just get nothing for him, or like, are they going to settle?
They're going to have to settle. When your coach come out saying, yeah, we're moving towards trading him, you have given up any and all leverage. The only leverage that the Rams have is the same leverage that Kareem Hunt had. They're waiting for somebody else to get hurt. That's it. They're all playing the same game of waiting for somebody to get desperate. And at this point of the season, what happens when the only way you get desperate is somebody gets hurt? That's it. Same thing with Joe Flacco and how Phillip Rivers made a bunch of money. They sit around waiting for somebody to get desperate. And desperation usually is a product of injuries. So they're waiting for somebody else to go down, and then ring, ring. Hey, is Les Snead? Is he still there? Yeah. Hey, Les. Hey. Yeah, we really need Cam Akers. I'm sure you do. And that's their asking price. There is also an element, I think, with the Rams. They probably want to get him out of there, too. Like a healthy scratch. He's probably hanging around. It sounds maybe even a little like the Jadeveon Clowney thing, where they're like, dude, just go home. Like, we don't need you here. He was a healthy scratch, something McVay called a coach's decision made in the best interest of the team, talking about Cam Akers. Before the game, Akers sent a message on Twitter saying, I'm just as confused as everybody else. I'm blessed, though. McVay said Monday that his social post was surprising. McVay, I feel very good about the clarity that was provided to him on Friday and Saturday, both through he and his agent. That's unfortunate, but I feel like it was very clear in regards to our dialogue. I imagine that dialogue was, you're not playing here anymore, which is weird. I don't know why. Whatever. But I would imagine that is everything that has gone through with Nick Chubb going down, is that Andrew Berry will turn over every stone. The first stone to turn over was the easiest one. He called Kareem Hunt and had him come down to the facility yesterday. Kareem Hunt, from my understanding, is still in town. He was just at Toledo this past weekend for, I think, an alumni weekend thing. So he's still around. Easiest one. You are a free agent, and you are in town, and you have played here before. What were those conversations around yesterday? Probably money. If I had to guess, it was, what would you be willing to sign here for? And if Kareem Hunt said something small, then he would have been signed. He'd be here this morning. Wait, let me refresh Twitter real quick. Refresh. Okay, I don't think he's signed there this morning. Fair enough. We continue on. So that's the easiest one. Then the next one would probably be other free agent running backs. Your Leonard Fournettes of the world. The rest of the list is, underwhelming to say the least. Then eventually you will get to potential trades. And I would assume that no decision will be made until a lot of these stones are overturned, right? Just to make sure. This is just me. Everybody listen to this. I want to make this clear. This is just me. It wouldn't shock me if Andrew Berry's already called the Colts. It would not shock me. Now, those conversations could have been very quick. And, yeah, we're not moving off of our one. And the Browns don't have one to give up. Or at least one that I'm willing to part with. And that's it. And then you hang up the phone and you kind of move forward. Okay, fine. But Andrew Berry, doing his job the way that he does, he probably made those phone calls. Updates on Nick Chubb this morning. So I saw this from CBS Sports, is that he will have multiple surgeries, which is bad. I keep neglecting the Twitter inbox. I am apologizing. I'm getting it. All right, stop everything. Twitter inbox right now. Here we go. We're going down to the bottom. A lot of great. And hey, I got to tell everybody, I really appreciate, Ryan and I both appreciate, we had our biggest show yesterday. Now, it came from probably a negative place, which sucks, and it's not going to happen that often. But we've been doing the show a week and a half, which is crazy. And we had our biggest show ever yesterday. So we appreciate all the support. It means the world to us. Get us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and then on-demand shows, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify as well. All right, so let's go down. All right, Twitter inbox. Lucas tweets, he did lose speed, talking about Kareem Hunt. Unfortunately, there is no replacement for Nick Chubb. Go Jerome Ford. Okay, fair enough. Cujo tweets, anybody but Kareem. Anyone. I think that's an interesting tweet from Cujo. I'd love a follow-up on that. I wonder why. Maybe just we saw him. He's not the same guy anymore. There's something to be said about the unknown versus the known. To your point, Ryan, you know who Kareem Hunt is. Andrew Berry knows who Cam Akers is more than us, but wouldn't you be a little... I'd go Cam Akers. I would. Just on the intrigue of what he might be on this offense outside of Jerome Ford. And there's a better chance that Cam Akers is still available in 2 weeks. Right? Like, there's a chance that he's still there, so we'll see. Frank tweets, Kareem as the starter, Ford has change of pace. We discussed that a little bit. I'm not really into the splitting of the carries. Okay, a couple things on Nick Chubb, DJ Whodad. I don't think Chubb's going to be able to come back from this. Ethan tweets, it depends on the price and the outlook for a potential Chubb return after this injury, as well as where the Browns believe if Ford can be number one. I would certainly consider all things to make this team a winner. The time is to win now. It's a great tweet, Ethan, and I think you're right. There is some fear on the future of Nick Chubb and whether he'll be back or not and what he might be in the future. And it sounds like, to get some of the reports, they need to have multiple surgeries. They got to get in there and figure out what happened, which I think the scariest thing is that they've not announced yet what happened. We tear your ACL. That's it. And they go, hey, he tore his ACL, he's going to have surgery. They haven't, at least Kevin Stefanski yesterday, and I've seen no reports on, was this an LCL? Was this an MCL? Was this all of that? And it sounds like anything, they're going to let the swelling go down. Anytime you have these ACL injuries or things like that, you don't get surgery right a week. They wait a week or two. And actually, a lot of studies have gone towards, they'll have the guys strengthen the area first. They'll work out for 2 weeks trying to strengthen the knee before they go in for surgery. And there's a bunch of studies that show that helps. So Nick Chubb's not getting surgery tomorrow. He's not probably having surgery this week, but they're going to have multiple ones to try to figure out what exactly happened and then kind of go from there. Alex tweets, it's crazy talking about going to get Jonathan Taylor. Only digging the hole deeper, you could trade for plenty of serviceable back, and Trey Sermon is hanging out on practice squads. He actually just got signed to the Colts practice squad. Trey Sermon, former Ohio State Buckeye, former Oklahoma Sooner, former Philadelphia Eagle, former 49er, I think.
49er.
Yeah, that's where he got drafted. Josh tweets, not trading and giving up assets for a guy who wants a big deal. Sign Hunt and let's go. DJ Whodad, Hunt's not signing here. Jake says, Taylor wants a new contract anyway. The Browns can't offer it, so he continued to just sit out. You would have to get that figured out, Jake. I understand that. you would have to call Jonathan Taylor and say, would you be willing to come here for a 1-year, inflated deal? And he might say yes. He might say no. I don't know. Like, is he so entrenched in getting this that nothing else? See, that's my thing. If you called him and said, here's a $14 million deal, borderline fully guaranteed or something like that, whatever you got to do to make the money work. Here's $14 million for this season. Go out there and play well, and maybe that'll help you with some other team. The comeback would be in a lot of the players of what they're at and with the agents. He's done enough that he doesn't need to prove anymore. So maybe he really will hold out for the long deal. Rhino tweets, what can the Browns trade? They don't have anything. That's my question. I kind of agree with you. So we'll see. The other thing was Josina Anderson had a tweet this morning that said Nick is in good spirits. He's been around the facility. He's on crutches. But she also kind of some of the stuff that we talked about when it came to his knee. So here's what Josina tweeted. I did hear Nick Chubb was in good spirits today considering the gravity of the circumstances, getting around with crutches on his knee brace to inhibit flexion. It makes sense that there be some wait time before surgery, which we discussed, which is fluid to allow swelling to recede and then surgically deal with stability and micro repairs and whatever else in whatever sequence. Assessments can evolve once doctors commence any procedure. Chubb is the soul of team. Miracles can happen restoring the body. Stay faithful, Cleveland. That was from Josina. So, yeah, what they're going to do is he will have his first surgery. Doctors will get in there and they will assess, okay, this is worse than we thought, better than we thought. Let's fix this. Let's let it heal and we'll come back. That's scary, right? You'd love nothing. You don't want injury, but you would just love it. It's pretty straightforward ACL tear. They do those every day, right? Pretty straightforward, done and done. This is more of there's a lot of cleanup in here. And it's already a knee that he's had surgery on. It's already a knee that he had a pretty gruesome injury on. What does it look like? I don't know. And we'll all be waiting on pins and needles to see exactly what the future is. Because we know this season is done. But that is a question, and I'm getting this a little bit from some people in the inbox, is that it does change how you approach things if you have a feel like Nick Chubb won't be back. Ever. Right? But you won't know that in time to make the moves. I hope nothing more that this is the complete opposite. But if you got a stamp today that said Nick Chubb is not going to play football anymore, that changes how you approach it, right? Then maybe Jonathan Taylor becomes an interest, right? Or how you want to approach it, or we're going to need to draw, whatever. But you don't have that. And we certainly hope that that never is the case. But by the time the Browns make the moves that need to make the move, they won't have all the information. And guys as smart as Andrew Berry, they hate making decisions when they don't have all the information. And it's impossible to have. So you're going to have to do the best with what you can. And do the best with what you got. And that's what a lot of Browns fans are bringing up, which you're right. Draft picks, the money. And it all comes back to, in my opinion, the ultimate question of how important is it? We were spoiled with the luxury of Nick Chubb as one of the best running backs in the NFL. In the grand scheme of it, how important is that position? Now that it is not Nick Chubb and it is just running back, how important is it? Did Kevin Stefanski build up this offense because the running back is that important, or did he build it up because that's how damn good Nick Chubb is? I don't know. And if it's option A, I built this offense because we need to run the football, then that changes how you approach your replacement. If you say, well, we really built it up just because we had Nick Chubb. Now that we don't have Nick, we'll find a way to get through it. And I don't know, maybe put some more on the shoulders of your $230 million quarterback. Just an idea. Just saying. Maybe that's an option on the way out here. Man, you got to be able to run the football too. Kevin Stefanski admitted that the play action is just as effective as actually running the football. You just got to give him the option to think about it. I'm cool running with Jerome Ford. That's a bad pun. I apologize. Running with Jerome Ford. Not good. All right, let's catch a break. When we return, ESPN went around they basically came up with a surprising statistic for every team through the first two games and decided, was this real or a mirage? Is this something that is tangible and real, or is it a mirage? I will tell you what the Brown stat is, and Jake Schroeder. mention if he thinks it's real or not. We'll get to that when we return. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play, Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. On-demand shows with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Don't forget Chico coming up 12 to 2 today, and all of our Big Play shows stream replays throughout the day on the iHeart app. You want to take us to work, you can't listen or you can't watch the video, not a problem. iHeart app, download it, search Big Play, get all of our shows right there as well. The one thing about the Browns through 2 weeks, is it real or fake? We'll tell you next right here on Big Play. All right, back here on the Matt Fontana Show, we'll get to the one thing for the Browns through 2 weeks that is either a mirage or real. But breaking news from the Cavs, they have released a statement on Kobe Altman. So Kobe Altman, Cavs general manager, was arrested for OVI on Friday. I know TMZ's got the video of his OVI arrest. He pled not guilty. They're letting the legal process play out. Here's the statement from the Cavs. Quote, "We hold our team members to a high standard of conduct and expect leaders at every level of our organization to represent the Cavaliers with integrity, professionalism, and accountability. We will continue to closely monitor the facts and circumstances of this matter and await resolution of the legal process." They're not going to do anything right now. They're going to wait. Again, OVI, DUI, all that kind of stuff. They'll figure it out. Kobe Altman will probably. I didn't want to speculate. All right, he's not going to jail. You know, he'll have some sort of restitution and community service, and I expect the Cavs to suspend, maybe fine him, and that's it. I don't think this is something that Kobe Altman should lose his job over. I'm sure he's very sorry for what he did. Should never drink and drive. learn from it and move on. That's pretty much where I'm at. And that's kind of what the Cavs aren't going to do anything until the legal process plays out. In today's day and age, it's funny, like with so many of these contracts of like getting fired for cause or not, nobody does anything until the legal process plays out. Nobody does anything until they actually have everything. Because if they came out today and they fired him and then he finds out he wasn't guilty or somehow, some way, then they come back and sue. It's great. They're going to let it play out. I don't think Kobe Altman's getting fired. You suspend him, you fine him, you kind of go from there. 2 games in for the Browns. Is one of these statistics real or mirage? They did this for all 32 teams around the league. And for the Cleveland Browns, their trend that we decide if it is real or fake, Ryan, the Browns lead the league in pass rush win rate. They are leading with 69.6% of the time a pass rush win rate. So 70% of the time, their D lineman is getting past the offensive line. Doesn't mean they're getting a sack. Doesn't mean they're getting there, but they are winning the pass rush. Jake Trotter's verdict, that is very real, as it probably should be. He writes, Myles Garrett and Zadarius Smith look like one of the league's top pass rushing duos. You add in Obo Okoronkwo, who I just happen to see all the time making plays. He's usually only out there on third down, but I always see Obo around the football. Jake writes, Obo Okoronkwo also applying pressure out of Cleveland's 3 DN set, and new defense coordinator Jim Schwartz is bringing the house early and often with a series of blitzes. So leading the league with a 70% pass rush win rate is not a shock. Though Pittsburgh and Cincinnati are struggling offensively, there's nothing to suggest that Cleveland won't be able to get after opposing passers for the rest of the season. With the Browns' offense in disarray, Cleveland's pass rush will have to keep making plays if the Browns have any chance to contend for the AFC North. You spent money on it, it should be it, right? You spent money to bring in money in relative of, Zadarius Smith, you paid Obo Okoronkwo, Dalvin Tomlinson, all those guys. Like, yeah, it should be. And then you decide to come bring in Jim Schwartz. That's the name of his game. That is 100% the name of his game. So the fact that the Browns are at 70%, that is damn good. That is very good. So I'm with Jake. I think that is real. I don't think that's a mirage. And what is then the impact on the offenses? They're going to get that football out. And some quarterbacks are good with that. Aaron Rodgers was a wizard on done, out. And veteran guys, ball out. I know when it's coming, I need to get the football out. 2 seconds or less and we're done. You change offenses in that, though. You really do. And I also think about a big matchup coming up with Baltimore in a couple of weeks. Because what scares me just a little bit is Lamar Jackson, where you have him on the ground until you don't. And he is so good about escaping the pocket. And even when you have it collapsed, even when you have every guy around him, somehow he just gets out and he's gone. It's so frustrating. It is so frustrating. But the one thing you can do to impact that is have Lamar feeling like he has to run every time. And then he's not looking down the field. He's not making the right reads, stuff like that. Pass rush helps that. And getting in the pressure, getting in the face of that helps. I mean, it hurts any quarterback. No quarterback likes pressure. So the fact that the Browns lead the league in pass rush win rate is pretty impressive. Let's go around the AFC North real quick. These are trends through the first 2 games, deciding if it's real or not. Baltimore, their early surprise. Lamar Jackson has completed 75% of his passes through 2 games. Is that real or mirage? Jamison Hensley says that's a mirage. He has a career completion percentage about 63, so he's a full 10 points higher through 2 games. I'm a little afraid of Todd Monken there because I think he could build an offense for him, but I'd have to agree. Through 2 games, a high completion percentage, sometimes that'll come back down. The Cincinnati Bengals, their early surprise, Jamar Chase is only averaging 4.4 yards per target. Is that real or a mirage? That's a mirage. That number will get up. And we didn't really talk about the impact. We'll probably do it a little bit more in tomorrow's show, but Joe Burrow, I don't think is going to play on Monday. And then you start entering how many games could he miss. That might change things, but also the fact that Jamar Chase is too good to only be averaging 4 yards per target. And then the Steelers' early surprise that they are 31st in total offense. Brooke Pryor, ESPN, that is real. Dude, they are like,
Is Najee Harris horrible?
No, I think Matt Canada is horrible. Like I don't. That's a great question. Is it the chicken or the egg? And I don't know, dude. There's a world that Kenny Pickett is bad, and I know Browns fans you want to rip on him, and I was cautiously not optimistic, but I said watch Pickett because he ended the season as a top 10 quarterback. The last 8 games of the year, he played to a top 10 level. So here I am, keeping my eye on Pittsburgh. Going, man, do they really have something Kenny Pickett? Oh, man, could Najee Harris be pretty good? I don't know. No. And again, you watch that game Monday night. They don't win that game without their defense. They had 2 defensive touchdowns. That didn't happen. That offense stinks. And the thing is, I don't know. Is it because Matt Canada stinks? Probably, maybe. And I think a lot of people in Pittsburgh hope that's the answer because that's the easiest remedy is just to fire him. Or is it true that Kenny Pickett is not who you thought he was? I don't know. But I do think that's real. That offense, they suck. And that all kind of how it ties back to the Browns. Cincinnati scaring you right now? Not if Joe Burrow ain't playing. Is Pittsburgh really scaring you that much? Not really. This division probably is going to get 2 playoff teams. Probably. So all you do is fight your way to the top. Just stay there. Just stay relevant. We'll see. All right, we have a lot to get to with the morning update. Big news with Shohei Ohtani and his future, how that all plays out. Got this update with the Cavs as well. We'll get you updated on everything you need to know this morning. 10 o'clock is upon us. Hour 2, morning update comes your way next. Matt Fontana Show right here on Big Play. Go to the iHeart app, search Big Play under live radio. You can listen to us live there every morning. And also on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. Those are replayable. You can just go back and listen to them when you need. Or if you want the audio, we're on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. All coming your way right here on Big Play. Morning Update is next. All right, back here on the Matt Fontana show, as we always do, 10 o'clock, 10:05, your time this morning. We got a little morning update, stories you got to know. Ryan's got them. Take it away.
Well, some unfortunate news came out yesterday night. Very, very sad, but a Patriots fan at Gillette Stadium was killed by a fight in the stands. Somebody who saw it says it looked like somebody was in the middle of them, and then a man in the Dolphins jersey reached over and he connected with 2 punches to the victim's head. It wasn't something crazy or out of the ordinary until 30 seconds later, the guy wasn't getting up.
Yeah, it's so sad to see that still is a thing. Like, you know, again, you have rivals and you're in the stands and all that other kind of stuff. That guy was 66 years old. And it looked like the guy who was punching him didn't look like he was, like, how do you look at a guy? And I'm not saying 66 is elderly or anything like that, and that's all it takes. That's all it takes. And the other thing that is the real shame, and it's just where we're at in society, nobody helped. Everybody stood there and did this. Everybody stood there and said, oh, here, let me shoot this with my phone so I can go on social media and go viral there. Jerks. They should, honestly, all those people ought to be ashamed of themselves. They didn't step in. And, like, I don't know. It's sad. It sucks. And the ultimate price for what? For what? To show that you're a Dolphins fan, like stupid Patriots fan. It's sad. And it really, I don't know what the NFL can do. I don't know what the stadiums can do. Really, it's a sad state of society. People, instead of trying to step in and potentially save somebody's life, they wanted to video it so they can get some likes on a freaking app. It's sad.
Yeah, and it reminded me of years ago, I can't remember. I think it might have been the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, and another team, maybe the Mets. But
there's all
fans. Yeah.
Well, there was the Mets fan. Yeah, there was unfortunately that Mets fan. Yeah, it's sad.
Alrighty, on to the tennis world. Rafael Nadal is ready to claim that Djokovic is the GOAT. How do you feel about that, Matt?
I did see it, and I actually thought about a question off of that for the show. But is it possible to have multiple GOATs? Because GOAT stands for the greatest of all time. And I understand that mantle, I mean, can it be passed? Obviously it is. And for Nadal to say, was it Nadal or Roger Federer? I would assume it was Nadal. But yeah, there's no question in my mind that, Novak Djokovic is the greatest men's tennis player of all time. He is. So he's the GOAT. And you have to basically pass that mantle. But it's like, Jordan and LeBron is always the biggest one. That is always the biggest one of who actually the best basketball player in history is. Is it LeBron or is it Michael Jordan? And I don't know. I go back and forth. I personally think it's LeBron because it's an era thing. You know, the thing is Federer and Djokovic have played each other. I'm sorry, Rafael Nadal and Djokovic have played each other. They were kind of in the borderline of the same era. I know Nadal's a little bit older. He's on the way out now, but still, I just think it's interesting. Like, And then can you have multiple? Like, where you truly feel like these are the 2 best tennis players of all time. And it's not one is above the other. These are just the 2 best of all time. But I appreciate Djokovic, or I appreciate Nadal kind of passing that on. I don't know, it's kind of a pompous thing to be like, oh, here's my GOAT trophy that I will then now hand to you. Like, did people, it's Rafael Nadal. He is very, very good. I'm not saying he's not, but comes off just a little pompous.
Yeah, so
a little bit.
I'm obviously, I don't know that much about tennis, I'll be honest. But
do you know how to score tennis?
I've seen it. I couldn't score it myself.
I know how to score it. I actually had, there was a kid in my physics class in high school that was on the tennis team, and we were just bored one day. So I said, I want you to explain to me how you score tennis. We sat there, like, instead of actually doing our, homework or doing actual work, like, we sat there and he explained to me how to score tennis.
I'm gonna need somebody who's ever watching, if we have a tennis fan, to go, like, kind of explain to me just how dominant he is, if we can put it in terms of maybe another sport, because
Djokovic?
I see his name every time it's tennis. It's always Djokovic.
I mean, yeah, we'll take it in the Twitter inbox. Ryan's at Ryan Tyler 33. Somebody do a better job than me. I would say that Novak Djokovic he's Michael Jordan. Okay. Like, he's that good. Yeah. I mean, and again, it goes back to legacy type things of Andre Agassi, and again, I'm not a tennis fan at all. Just from my way out viewing, Novak Djokovic is the best. Like, most, tennis, or Grand Slams, that's what that majored.
So, yeah.
I called it majors like it was a golf. Most Grand Slam titles. So it's the French Open, the Australian Open, Wimbledon, and the U.S. Open.
So it says Djokovic's recent win at the U.S. Open, his third Grand Slam title this year, took his tally to 24 majors.
24.
2 ahead of Nadal's.
There it is. Okay, you're right. Here's the crazy thing. Can I just... Oh, my God. He's so good. Can I just go back the last 3 years, Ryan? 3 years. They play 4 Grand Slams a year. That's 12. Novak Djokovic has won 7 of those 12.
Wow.
The only other ones, Nadal won 2 in 2022. He won the Australian and French Open.
Matt, I got some breaking news.
Breaking news.
Mary Kay Cabot. Browns are close to signing Kareem Hunt.
Wow.
Sources tell me should be done by today.
Wow.
Wow.
All right. Anything else you want to wrap up the morning update? Let's get to Ohtani quick. We'll come back. Breaking news: the Browns are going to be signing.
Sure. Ohtani had elbow surgery Thursday. His doctor said he expects a two-way star to be available as a hitter on opening day next season. However, he will not return to the mound as a pitcher until 2025.
He is a free agent. Does he sign this huge, massive deal, and the team that signs him says, we're signing you to this $800 million deal because you were going to pitch and you were going to hit? Or do they make the decision, no, bro, you're only ever going to hit? I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question. I don't know how you navigate this one season. Do you sign just 1 year of a massive thing, then wait for... Like anything, folks, and don't forget in baseball, this is how it works. They sign 10 years. Zach Greinke has signed like 3 10-year deals because you always sign it, you go through a couple years, and then you opt out. That's what's going to happen with Ohtani. He'll sign some massive deal. He'll only hit this season, then he'll redo it and move forward. All right, do we want to catch a break? We want to stay live. Can we stay live? We're going to stay live. Here we are. I'll just remind you about our friends at Tipico. Go sign up today. Big Play Network is presented by Tipico Sportsbook. It's got traditional bets like your money line, your spread, your point totals, your alternates, your same game parlay. It's all there with our friends at Tipico, and player props and our big play boosts. I'll get to one later in the show. I do want to do a boost for tonight coming up for the Guardians. So get loaded up. Go to Tipico and use the code BIGPLAY150. That is BIGPLAY150 at Tipico to get $150 bet credits on us, plus a $30 dog pound bet. Bet with Big Play Crew all season long with our friends at Tipico. So the Browns are reportedly close to signing Kareem Hunt. And I understand all the reasons behind it. It makes sense. It's easy. He's available. Who will be your starting back? Who's your starting back going to be? Is this going to be, hey, Kareem Hunt is coming in here and we're going to just turn the workload over to him? Or, Ryan, do you still split it with Jerome Ford and give him some carries?
I think it's a matter of you're going to have to split it. I mean, like you said, it is nice because we've been so accustomed to Nick Chubb, a dude that we know he obviously he didn't have to play 3 downs because he had Kareem Hunt was a better pass catcher. But we've seen just been so accustomed to that. So I don't know. It would be nice to see if Kareem Hunt can be that guy, but I don't know.
Also, and I had people mention this, the shape that Kareem Hunt is in. Because they're not signing someone that's out of shape, and Kareem Hunt's a professional football player. I'm assuming that he stayed in shape and was ready to go. But there's something to be said about he has and maybe this is the positive, he didn't go through training camp. He didn't go through the first couple of games accumulating hits. So there's something that comes Sunday, Browns-Titans, I'm assuming Jerome Ford will still get the majority of the carries. But Kareem Hunt is probably ready to go. And again, if you're just joining us, breaking news this morning from Mary Kay Cabot of Cleveland.com that the Browns are close to signing Kareem Hunt back to the team. It's obviously replaced Nick Chubb, who went down with that injury. And then, expectations for Kareem. Let me take Jerome Ford out. And this is somebody that said I would just give it to Jerome Ford and let him run the football. But now that we know that it is Kareem Hunt coming back reportedly, I'd be lying to you if I didn't say I was a little excited and maybe even intrigued to see what Kareem Hunt has. Because Kareem Hunt's never, we've had some games where Nick Chubb was injured and Kareem Hunt got a lot of the carries, but it's never been a situation here in Cleveland that he really is the guy. And there is a world that the Browns say he's the guy. I'm leaving that door open, that the Browns say we're signing Kareem Hunt because he will be our starting running back, and Jerome Ford's role will actually not change. It's now he's backing up Kareem Hunt instead of Nick Chubb. And if that's the role, if that's the way that the Browns want to take this, that's fine. But I'm not I'm not that I was against it, Ryan, but I just thought I'd go with Jerome Ford, and the fact that they're signing Kareem Hunt, I'm not shocked by this at all. I'm really not.
Yeah, it made too much sense. I mean, like you said, and I'm so with you on the fact, we touched on this earlier in the show for those that weren't there, about how it's really not a huge deal that he already is familiar with the playbook. Like, I get that's a factor, but I was really excited to see Jerome Ford. I'm not gonna lie. So, but we'll see how it works out, and I hope for the best.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. I wonder about and Mary Kay follows up with a tweet. He's a plug-and-play proposition for the Browns. He knows the system. He knows his coaches. He's also very hungry to play. I imagine, yeah, he's very hungry to play because he wants to get another contract. My biggest question after all this comes out, too, is what is the deal for Kareem Hunt? The Browns have a surplus. They're like 40-odd some $1 million, right? That they have free in salary cap space. But it's still something that you don't want to just start throwing that all around. You don't want to start sitting there and say, oh, we'll overspend. Like, you got to be understanding that, you need this. It's a position of need, and I'm sure Kareem Hunt knows that too. I don't think he's coming in here for $2 million, I guess is my point. What do you think, Ryan? Cast your vote. Place your bet, I guess, if you will. Tipico. Place your bet. What do you think he signed for?
I hope it's not north of 7.
7 was my number 2.
I hope it's not north of 7.
I think it's 7. It's 7. Yeah. He's okay. So again, league source to Mary Kay Cabot, Kareem Hunt is close to signing back with the Cleveland Browns. I also think about the passing game with Kareem Hunt, because we know Kareem Hunt's a guy that can catch the football out of the backfield probably a little bit better than Nick Chubb can. So is that another element now with Deshaun Watson that we can move into this? Also, I'm just reading this too, that the visit yesterday included a tryout. So it included him on the field trying out. Yeah, man, we should have known. We probably should have known what was going to happen. So his deal with the Browns, because I want to look this up. Kareem Hunt contract. Of just what he signed in the past. So last year with the Browns, he signed a deal worth about $6.2 million. 2021 was 4.5, and 2020 was 4. And we mentioned earlier that Spotrac has a market value on Hunt of 2 years, $14 million. That's right about where they think he would be as far as money. I would imagine that's probably where that 7 number comes from for us. And I don't think this is a multi-year deal. I'm sure he's pushing for it. But we'll see. Sorry, Mary Kay with another tweet. To clarify, Hunt will help fill in at running back. Ford is still expected to be the lead back. Huh. Okay. So that's probably, my read on that real quick is that is them trying to reduce the money, because Kareem Hunt and his agent probably sat down and go, okay, you need to sign us, here we are. Well, what kind of money you offering us? We're the starting back. And the Browns going, well, wait a minute. You're not the starting back. We just need you to help fill in with Jerome Ford. And that probably reduces the dollar amount just a hair. So again, for Mary Kay Cabot, Hunt is to help fill in at running back. Jerome Ford is still expected to be the lead back. So there you go. And that, I think with how bad this injury is for the Browns, that replacement, you could do a lot worse. If you say you lost Nick Chubb, he's out for the year, and you are going to replace him with Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt in the backfield, you could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse for where the Browns are at. Now, how much in the impact that we will see on the offense, that remains to be seen. And that's where no matter what, having Kareem Hunt back doesn't solve your problems. Having Kareem Hunt here makes things a little better, but you still are going to look to Deshaun Watson to fix this problem and to pick up some of the slack that you're going to be missing by not having Nick Chubb. Ryan, I like Kareem Hunt, but I'm not expecting him to come in here and rush for 1,500 yards like I expected from Nick Chubb.
No, that's unrealistic. I wish I could just know what the split use is going to be, because it'll be interesting. And I wonder how long it'll take, to see whether it's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, to see really what they're going to be for the long run in terms of splitting carries.
I'm sure, and that's the other thing. It's a great point. I'm sure Kevin Stefanski is going to try to figure that out too. And there is a world that Kareem Hunt ascends to being the number one back. I want to say this. There's a world that somebody gets hurt again. I don't know. At this point, it seemed to be the familiar part of it. The not trading for Cam Akers is because they don't have draft picks. I understand that. This was the easiest thing, and this is probably just the first step, right? This is just, this guy's available. He's in town. He's run this offense before, and I'm sure they worked the dollar amount out. I'm sure that's it. And then you also don't drag this out any further. Where Kareem Hunt is here, I'd imagine he's playing Sunday. I imagine that Kareem Hunt is playing Sunday, and maybe that was another reason why it just made so much sense is he knows the offense. Like, he does literally step in here. He's in the facility today, and that offense, he goes, oh, yeah, okay. This isn't even a defensive player that has to learn Jim Schwartz's system. Literally, every single offensive coach is there that he knows, outside of Drew Petzing, sorry. He knows what he's doing. But that then also gets me to an interesting point about the relationships in that building. Because Stump Mitchell, Browns running backs coach, who we all love, he kind of made some comments this offseason about Kareem. Not ever a direct shot or never anything about he wasn't here, but just kind of made some things about maybe Hunt was worrying about his contract or things like that. And then also the reports that Andrew Berry felt like Kareem Hunt lost a step. Is that just something you gloss over? And it's a rhetorical question. If somebody offered me a couple $1 million for a contract, they can almost say about me, whatever they want. It's probably nothing that hasn't been said before either, right? And I didn't get paid for that. So here we are anyway. You look past it, yeah, and maybe those things were just, who knows? I don't, and maybe those reports aren't true. I have no idea. But there were things that were coming out that the Browns felt like they were ready to move on from Kareem Hunt, and yet here we are again. So you move past it. It's a need, and I'm feverishly on Twitter right now, just waiting to see what the contract amount is. So again, if you're just joining us up this morning, some breaking news coming out from Mary Kay Cabot. She says the Browns are close, not official yet, by the way, but the Browns are close to re-signing Kareem Hunt to help replace Nick Chubb. Mary Kay also saying that it would be him helping the running back room. He would not be the lead back. He would still be kind of a backup to Jerome Ford as they kind of get all that figured out. It all comes back to Deshaun Watson, right? That's it. I mean, the thing is, and maybe giving him a little semblance of peace or to say, hey, we can still run the football. We still got some effectiveness here. But losing Nick Chubb is a massive blow to this team. No doubt about it. But you still need your $230 million quarterback to play better. And that the thing is, as I'm trying to pull positives out of negatives in this situation, where there's a lot of reason to be upset, you lost your best player on offense, arguably, you can now maybe try to find some new elements of this offense. Try to maybe find something where you've got more backs out of the backfield. You can throw them the football a little bit more. It's just, again, I want Nick Chubb out there, but trying to say, Ryan, that there's a chance that maybe Jerome Ford and Kareem Hunt could bring you something a little bit different. Nothing wrong with hoping for that, right? That's kind of where I'm at and what I'm trying to figure out of how Kevin Stefanski can use these guys. And especially if he wants to continue to use Jerome Ford. Because, again, if he's going to be your lead back, there's probably some different things you can do. The other part, as we see, is that run pass. What are the numbers going to look like? How often are you going to run it? How often are you going to pass it? I would assume there's going to be some big hits to that. You're going to start turning the football more to Deshaun Watson, who also can run and had to a little bit in that Steelers game. But I would imagine that we're going to start seeing it lean a little more towards the passing game with the Cleveland Browns. And then you're also saying, yeah, we have a bunch of wide receivers that are really good that we've paid a lot of money to as well. We're going to lean on them. We're going to lean on a tight end, too, that's well paid. Get David Njoku some touches. I guess I just look at it this way and I say, it's nice. You have Kareem Hunt. You could do a lot worse. This was a good signing for the Browns, and he's going to kind of fit in, but know that the true replacement for Nick Chubb's production on this offense is Deshaun Watson. That is the true replacement for Nick Chubb, is Deshaun Watson being the one to pick up the slack for the offense. I can say this because I'm sitting here. I don't care how they get down the field. I don't care how the yardage is amassed. I don't care how you put the points up. Just do it. Coach would tell you that doesn't fly. Okay? A coach, you have to understand, all right, we got to have a run and pass. We got to have the threat of both. We got to stay 50-50 on our play calls and all that kind of stuff. It's not that easy. It's not that simple to just say, get down the field and score. But get down the field and score. And if you lose Nick Chubb, you need to then turn to Deshaun Watson and get that done. And how you do it, I frankly don't care. And I'm at that point now where I don't. Like, just get in the end zone. Just get in the end zone. That's all that matters for this team right now. And trying to replace Nick Chubb is certainly going to be a hard thing to do. Well, I would say we'd revisit our Twitter question, Ryan, but it's already been decided about who the Browns' starting running back might be moving forward. Now, technically, it is Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford is technically our starting running back still, but the reports are coming out the Browns are close to signing Kareem Hunt. So he'll be there. So our Twitter question this morning, at Matt Fontana Show, who would you rather have as the Browns starting running back? Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt, Jonathan Taylor, or other? Still 37% of people say Jonathan Taylor. Jerome Ford, 33%. Kareem Hunt, 24%. So technically, Jerome Ford is our answer, right? Because he's still the starting running back, right, Ryan? I'm not missing that.
Nope, not at all.
So he's your starter, but Kareem Hunt is going to get some carries as he's close to signing with the Browns. Let's catch a break. We come back. We'll do time hop. But really, I'm going to keep my eye out. I want to see what the dollar amount is for Kareem Hunt. That's my biggest question on all this. Browns are close to signing to him. We'll see if we'll get that when we return. It's Big Play, Fontana Show, presented by your friends at Tipico. Time hop comes your way next. All right, back here on the Fontana Show on Big Play. Still nothing yet on the Kareem Hunt dollar amount. He is reportedly close to re-signing with the Cleveland Browns, so we'll keep you updated on that as we go out through the morning. And don't forget Chico coming up at noon, so I'm sure he'll have a lot of reaction to that as well as the Browns are moving towards re-signing Kareem Hunt. Welcome back, Fontana Show. iHeart app. Download the iHeart app. Search for Big Play. We're on there as well as Chico and replays throughout the day. We're also up on Bally Sports Great Lake. Now, not us, but Bernie Show, Josh and Maria Cribbs, Bobby Carpenter with Anthony Schlegel, Hanford with Bernie. We'll get there one day, Ryan. I look forward to that one day when we get up there on Bally Sports Great Lakes. But check us out everywhere, including BigPlay.com. But it's time for a little bit of time hop where we go back this day in history. Of course, today is September 20th. And how about this? 3 years ago today, Adam Schefter with a report that the Browns would not be trading for Odell Beckham Jr. Schefter saying the report of the Browns planning to trade for Beckham was totally not true. Fast forward from September until March, and they would actually go trade for Odell Beckham Jr. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I'm the other way around. This reports that the Browns are planning to trade away Odell Beckham Jr. That's what I was saying. Oh, sorry. The other way around. I'm like, wait a minute. He was already in the team. They got him in 2019. No, 2020, there were reports the Browns potentially trading away Odell. Yeah, they should have. They should have because he stayed. He put a video out, and then let him go for nothing. So they probably should have traded him away. This day, 2018, one of the most memorable games, I think, in Browns history. Thursday Night Football. Jets. Tyrod Taylor goes down with an injury. Here comes Baker Mayfield, and he leads the Browns to a 21-17 win, beating the Jets, opening the Bud Light fridges, and ending the winless streak at 635 days. The Browns win 635 days without winning a football game until Thursday Night Football this day, 2018. It was a magical night. Right. I remember that. I mean, I was there. We were in the press box. They opened the fridges. I got one Bud Light can out of there. I drank it in the press box. First time I ever drank at the press box.
Yeah, I remember that game, Matt. That's when Baker, he had his walk in the end zone.
Oh, yeah. And then they did the reverse to Jarvis Landry. I mean, it was a hell of a game this day, 2018. Hey, maybe a little precursor for this weekend because this day, 2015, the Browns beat the Titans 28-14. Johnny Manziel had 2 touchdown passes. Travis Benjamin had 2 receiving touchdowns and a punt return touchdown in that game. The Rabbit. Dude, we didn't talk too much. I mean, we talked a little bit about yesterday. I was not overly impressed with the special teams on Monday night. We need to clean some of that up. You cannot have penalties for guys mislining up and not being on the field in the right spot. That just can't happen. Big day in baseball. This day, 1998. Cal Ripken took himself out of the lineup, ending his streak of 2,632 games. He started the streak on May 30th, 1982. It ended September 20th, 1998. He went 16 straight years of not missing a game. And I know people thought the record got hokey because he would start games and then, be pulled midway through, or it was kind of all that. Ripken himself said it was time to end the streak. He did. And I always remember this story. It was funny that they went to this, they had a minor leaguer called up because September call-ups, and they told him, you're starting at third base, and he goes, hi, good joke. And he goes, no, seriously, Cal's taking himself out of the lineup. And they're like, oh my God, how crazy would that be? It'll never be touched in today's, you gotta want it to be a thing. And I'm not discrediting it. It's a great feat in sports, but it probably went on a little too long just for the novelty of it. He would put himself in, take himself out of the line, but it is what it is. This day in 1987, Walter Payton broke Jim Brown's record with his 107th rushing touchdown. Here's your trivia question of the morning, Ryan. Who holds the record for the most rushing touchdowns in NFL history? 164. 164 rushing touchdowns.
Emmitt Smith.
That is correct. Well done.
Thank you.
NFL rushing touchdown. I want to look for number 2.
I wanted to say Eric Dickerson.
LaDainian Tomlinson is 2. Marcus Allen is 3. Then Adrian Peterson. Then Walter Payton. Then Jim Brown.
Okay.
Who is the active leader of active running backs who has the most touchdowns?
This is too easy, or like, am I just thinking? Is it Derrick Henry?
It is Derrick Henry.
Okay.
That is great. Derrick Henry
it's
has
gotta be.
79. He's one away from breaking into the top 20, passing Edgerrin James and Frank Gore. Okay. Dude, where is Nick? Nick Chubb only has 48 rushing touchdowns. Who has more rushing touchdowns? Dalvin Cook or James Conner?
Rushing?
Yeah.
I'll go James Conner.
It's close. Dalvin Cook has 47. James Conner has 45.
Okay, wow.
Just the fact that it's even that close is like a little shocking to me. Yeah, Alvin Kamara with 49. All right, this is a fun one. This is my last trivia question on this. We mentioned Derrick Henry is the active leader with 79 rushing touchdowns. Who is second with 68 career rushing touchdowns as an active player in the NFL, the second most of active players?
Oh, that is a good question. Okay, let me run around in my head the teams.
He is on a team. He is playing.
Okay.
Obviously, I mean, because like technically they have Mark Ingram as an active player on here, and I think he's on like a practice squad. This guy plays. He gets carries, although he's kind of splitting carries right now.
AFC or NFC?
AFC. We might have just seen him in a primetime game not too long ago.
Oh, wait.
It wasn't Monday night. Who was the Sunday night game this past week?
Dolphins and Patriots.
Yeah.
Why am I drawing? Who?
He's not on the Dolphins, so he must be on the Patriots.
It's not Ramondre Stevenson.
Who's he getting splitting carries with?
Why am I drawing a play? Oh my gosh, duh. Jesus. Zeke.
Ezekiel Elliott is correct.
Oh, I hope that's not a sign of Wow, that was horrible.
Zeke.
I forgot
That's why I brought it up, because like you would not really think Zeke, even though like he had just some dominating years in Dallas. Yes, that is correct. Ezekiel Elliott has 68 career rushing touchdowns. That is the second most amongst active players. He's actually in the top 37 all time already.
Wow.
At Zeke, which is crazy to see. So there's a little trivia question for the morning here when it comes to Time Hop. This day, 1973, we were talking about tennis earlier. How about this? Billie Jean King won the Battle of the Sexes against Bobby Riggs. Riggs said at 55 that he could beat any female tennis player. Billie Jean King beat him in straight sets and whooped his ass. This day, 1973. Do you know the term jumping the shark? Ryan, have you ever heard that term?
I can't say I have.
All right, so let me tell you about this. So jumping the shark, when you would say, like this show, throwing stuff on it. It's usually something in pop culture, but it's also something that's just run its course. It's another way to say something has run its course. So I hope nobody ever says that about this show. But if you ever say the Matt Fontana show jumped the shark, it's usually run its course, but also then we start doing really hokey and gimmicky things. It's going to come off as a shot to some other shows out there, but it is what it is. You know, if I'm like, dude, we're going to do Tank Top Thursdays, or, we're going to do this crazy thing or whatever, then you would go, okay, that show has jumped the shark. They've run out of good ideas. They don't have anything original anymore, and they have since jumped the shark. It comes from a Happy Days episode that aired this day 1970 when Fonzie jumped a shark. I've seen the episode. I can't remember. It was something about there was like a battle, or there was like something where a competition, and they were on vacation and Fonzie jumped a shark on water skis. And everybody says, okay, that's the end of Happy Days. Like they've run out of ideas. They've done everything that they can on the show, so they have to jump a shark. So when you hear somebody say it's jumped the shark, it means that they've gone off the rails. They're crazy. It's over. And it all becomes from a Happy Days episode. You know what Happy Days is.
I do.
You know who Fonzie is, okay, right?
I know Happy Days and I know who Fonzie is, of course, but I've never seen an episode.
Just go. Google "Jump the Shark," and that's what will come up. So the episode aired this day in 1970. Very happy birthday goes out to Carlos Hyde, former Ohio State Buckeye and Cleveland Brown. Red Auerbach, Khabib Nurmagomedov, the MMA fighter. Brown safety Grant Delpit. John Bernthal. Most people probably know him as the Punisher, which is fine. He's very good in Ford versus Ferrari. Gary Cole. You know Gary Cole? Who's Gary Cole?
No.
His list of acting in his filmography for secondary actors is right up there. He's Bill Lumbergh in Office Space. He's Cotton McKnight in Dodgeball. And he's Ricky Bobby's dad in Talladega Nights. That's Gary Cole. He's he's had other things, but just if you were to talk about a filmography of a backup, not ever a leading guy. I'm sure he's starred in other things before. He's been in Suits. He's been on NCIS. But if you just talk about Gary Cole as Bill Lumbergh in Office Space, I forgot he was in 1 Hour Photo, too. You ever see that movie?
No, I haven't.
Creepy stalker movie with Robin Williams. He's a photo tech at a 1 Hour Photo, and he starts stalking this family through the pictures that they get developed. Creepy. Good movie, though. But anyway, Bill Lumbergh in Office Space. Dodgeball is Cotton McKnight and Reese Bobby in Talladega Nights. Oh, my God, I forgot. He was in Pineapple Express, which was very good. He's been in some Batman movies, Scooby-Doo movies.
He's been all over the place.
TV show. He's been on Family Guy. Oh, I didn't know this. He was the voice of Harvey Birdman on Attorney at Law. I never watched it, but short-lived. And then, like you said, he was on NCIS, The Good Wife, all over the place. But very happy birthday to Gary Cole. And Sophia Loren, all celebrating birthdays. All right, one TV show for you today.
Let's do it.
Oh, man. This is a TV show that I've watched. Debuted this day, 1991. Do you know the term of a mixed family? Like when it's step kids and,
Sure.
and you all blended family, I think is maybe the other word. It's a blended family.
I think I already know it.
Okay, go ahead.
Is it the Brady Bunch?
No, good guess. No, but that is
Okay.
probably the best example of it.
Okay.
This is another example, and also just like the Brady Bunch, there's 3 kids on each side. Some of them share different quirks, and they're just kind of different in a way.
What year was this?
91.
It aired in 91?
It debuted this day in 91. So it's a 90s TV show.
Okay.
The dad was a construction person. I remember that. And the mom was in another very famous sitcom revolving around the number 3.
Revolving around the number 3. Okay.
So Three's Company would be your hint on the first one. She was on Three's Company. Early. She was the first version of this character.
I don't know if I'm going to get this one, Matt.
Suzanne Summers, Patrick Duffy in Step by Step. Step by Step, this day, 1991.
Interesting.
I never really watched it like as a giant fan, but it was a part of like TGIF and stuff in the 90s. So yeah, Step by Step this day. All right, let's catch a break. When we come back, still no real updates when it comes to the contract amount for Kareem Hunt, but we are apparently very close to the Browns signing him to a deal a little bit later in the day. We'll get to that, kind of wrap up the show. A few other things that I want to get to that we didn't have a chance to discuss a little bit here on the show. Wrap it up. We'll do it next. Fontana, Big Play. Catch us on the iHeart app as well as YouTube, Twitter, and Facebook and on-demand shows with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. I want that dollar amount for Kareem Hunt. We'll get it when we return right here on the Fontana Show. All right, we've got it from Tom Pelissaro. The Browns have signed Kareem Hunt to a 1-year deal. Talking about it right here, Matt Fontana Show. Big play. Don't forget Chico coming up at noon. I'm sure he'll have a lot to react to it as well. We do not have a dollar amount yet, Ryan, because I know as soon as I said to you it's a 1-year deal, Pelissaro says it's done. We don't. Wait a minute. Let's see if we've got it here. $4 million. $4 million.
Okay.
So this is from Adam Schefter.
I like that.
Browns Kareem Hunt is re-signing a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million to try to help fill the void there left. I was always curious on the dollar amount, but $4 million, Ryan, that sounds a little bit like a backup type role.
Absolutely. So that makes me wonder. I wonder what type of money teams were throwing at him when he was potentially visiting with the Commanders, and I think he was with the Saints. Maybe he visited before they.
Yeah.
But so that makes me wonder that. That's interesting.
Yeah, and I would assume that. That's tough because those deals obviously fell through, right? So, why are we even in this situation? So, again, reportedly, not even reportedly, it's not official from the team. The Browns have re-signed Kareem Hunt to a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million, confirmed all across the board now. We're here because nobody else signed him, right? So, I already got that tweet this morning. Why do you want him? Nobody else does. It's not always that simple. It's like anything in the world. You're valuable to a point, okay? We are valuable to big play, Ryan. I don't think at a $15 million a year tag.
Not yet.
God, please, one day. I'd love that. You're valuable to a point. So maybe just the dollar amount that Kareem Hunt was looking for was too much for these other teams. Also, your value on a player is different than any other team. The Browns might have had a higher value on him because he knows the offense or because he can seamlessly kind of come in and probably be ready to go for Sunday and be able to get some carries. But at $4 million, that's great. Honestly, at up to $4 million, there's incentives, it sounds like, with this. But that tells me that this is Jerome Ford's job. He's going to be the main ball carrier for this team. And you kind of sprinkle in Kareem Hunt, when you can. Kareem Hunt, in his 4 years here in Cleveland, in 49 games, rushed for 1,800 yards, 4.2 yard average, and about 40 yards per game, which is not a lot. But also averaged 20 yards a game through the air. So if you told me that even in a reduced role, which again is hard for even when he was here in Cleveland, like in 2020 when he rushed for 800 yards, it was a little feast or famine at times because you had Nick Chubb. Now you've got Jerome Ford. And I think it's mostly they're going to give Ford the opportunity to keep this job, as I think they should. And I'm sure there's conversations being had today to tell Jerome, hey, man, keep this job. We'd love nothing more for you to lock onto this job and not give it to Kareem Hunt. But we do have Kareem Hunt here if we need him. Or even in a reduced role, or even just in a third down type back role. That is actually prime Kareem Hunt is third down, right? He can block out of the backfield. His pass pro is pretty solid, and he can get out in the pass route and make some plays there. So just on that. But if you told me that you could have a guy in Kareem Hunt, which again, I know it's inflated a little because of 2020, if you can get 50 yards a game out of Kareem Hunt between through the air and on the ground, that's a win. That's a win. And it's another piece to this offense. Ultimate question is, what does he look like physically? How impactful can he be? This offense, he's not coming in. They're not going to, change everything for. But I got to tell you, Ryan, for $4 million to be able to slide him into this offense the way that it is, I think that's pretty good. Yeah,
earlier in the show, we were mentioning, both me and you thought it was going to be somewhere around 7. So 1 year, 4. There's really no harm in doing it. What's the worst that can happen? So, and it's cool to have him back as a Browns fan.
Yeah.
So I'm excited.
Yeah, and then Ian Rappaport saying that Kareem waited and waited for the right opportunity. Now he has it back with his old team. I think right opportunity from that standpoint. Was it, he's not going to get starters. Maybe, the opportunities just aren't, he's not going to be a starting running back in the NFL anymore. And I think once you accept that, then you're okay with it. And also knowing that worth up to $4 million, there's probably a lot of incentives built into that. And that's like, at the end of the day, he's not, maybe he'll get that $4 million. I'd imagine that they're probably on the hook for him around 2, maybe 2.5. And then you put a yardage incentive in there, maybe a game active incentive if you want to try to hide some money from the book. You're on the hook for about a couple $1 million for your backup running back. Again, that knows the system, that if needed to play, can. That's pretty good from the Cleveland Browns. That's pretty good. It won't stop me from putting all my eggs in the Deshaun Watson basket, though. Because now we're at this point, and I know that we'll still continue to get updates on Nick Chubb, and surgery will be here before you know it, and wishing the best for him. But I think today, as we kind of wrap the show up, and we're kind of turning the page. We're going to start turning the page here, get ready to go for the Titans. I already know what we're going to talk about tomorrow on the show. I'm really excited because with everything that we know, now that we know it's Kareem Hunt in here, now that we've seen Deshaun Watson, but knowing that Joe Burrow is a little banged up, are the Browns still in the hunt for the playoffs? Like, that's really what I want to jump into on tomorrow's show, because now it is that time where we've digested a little bit, feel a little bit better. The Browns are moving forward clearly because they have to. And where do we go from here? Where do you go from here with Deshaun Watson, with this offense, knowing that, this is what we have now moving forward? And I'd be remiss to say, too, because I don't think we really mentioned it a lot, but 2 weeks, 2 starting all-pro players out of your team, Jack Conklin and Nick Chubb. That trend needs to stop.
I don't even know if you noticed this, but you just made a very, very funny unintentional pun.
Oh, I did? I love unintentional
The Browns are in the hunt for the AFC North.
Aha! Zing. Good job. Good pull, Ryan. Way to go. I don't think Kareem Hunt's playing that much. I'm sorry. I really, he's there. You're right. That was unintentional, but well done on my part. I'll pat myself on the back for that. I don't know how much Kareem Hunt's going to play. We'll see. I'm fine with Jerome Ford. This isn't a shot at Pierre Strong, but you needed somebody better than Pierre Strong. You get Kareem Hunt. Again, the news is he signed a 1-year deal worth up to $4 million. So, again, the Browns are probably on the hook for a couple million. Nothing crazy there. He's here. He's back. He's going to help the team out just a little bit. But I still expect very much that it's all on Deshaun Watson. It's all on Deshaun Watson, prove it around. We'll get a chance, I believe, to hear from him later. Today is Wednesday. I'm so thrown off with Monday Night Football, by the way. Today is Wednesday, so it's normally the day that Watson will speak. Maybe it's pushed back. We'll see. Browns Hour at Breeze, so we'll get some more statements from them a little bit later in the day, and we'll certainly react to a lot of that on tomorrow's show. But I do really want to talk about where the Browns go from here. Like, as we look about where the Browns are going from here to understand their options when are they in the hunt? Are they, again, bad pun, are they still in this thing? Like, do you still really believe that the Browns are in this to make the playoffs? That'll be our Twitter question on tomorrow's show. So I have a lot lined up. We'll see. And again, we'll have a reaction. We'll see what they say when it comes to Kareem Hunt joining the team. I'm still tempered on my expectations for him. Watson's got to get better. We will see. Guardians just choking it away again. When do they play today? They have a day game today? They have a getaway game today?
No idea.
2:10 getaway day in Kansas City. You're about to get swept by the Royals. Pitiful. Absolutely pitiful. Hey, let's bring Shane Bieber back for no apparent reason. They'll do that this week. We'll have to see. Great stuff. Really appreciate everybody joining us again today. Had a great show yesterday. We're getting those numbers up. Follow at Matt Fontana Show. Really appreciate it. I hit 20,000 the other day, by the way, on Twitter. So I appreciate everybody following me at Matt Fontana 83. Ryan is at Ryan Tyler 33. Chico's coming up at noon to 2 today. All the reactions to the Browns signing Kareem Hunt. Get that on the iHeart app. Search Big Play. Listen live there. And don't forget Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube and on-demand shows with Apple Podcasts and Spotify. For Ryan, I'm Matt. As always, take it easy.